Well, welcome to Better Preparedness. If you're new to the show, welcome. And if you like it, please make sure you subscribe. I'm going to talk about this Renault Stepway semi-crossover, I guess you could say, later in the program. But first I want to talk to you a little bit about renting a car in Africa. As you may have guessed, I'm in Franschhoek, South Africa. You arrive in Africa, you pick up your rental car, and they just send you out onto the roads. Now, we've been living in Africa for a number of years now in various parts, so we're kind of familiar with road conduct and the rules of the road, but it changes in every country, so you kind of have to get used to it. What I want to talk to you about is a better preparedness in terms of rental cars. And if you look in the back, there is a jack, there is the eyelet tow hook thing, and that's it. So there's no emergency kit, there's no first aid kit, there are no jumper cables. I don't even think this has a warning triangle, which I believe is law here in South Africa, let alone things like safety vests. So if you're going to be driving and renting a car anywhere in the world, but especially here in Africa, why not bring some of your safety kit from home? You know, you can pare it down a bit, but you know, your jumper cables, if you run out of battery power somewhere while you're out there, and you need to do some fixing or some roadside assistance, or you know, if you're stuck in the road for half a day waiting for a tow or something like that, keep those things in mind. Make sure when you're renting a vehicle, you not only rent the vehicle for the type of terrain you're going to be driving, but you also have that emergency kit with you that you have normally from home, and especially a first aid kit if you have a car accident. Remember, for a lot of people here also, you're going to be driving on the left side of the road for the very first time. So take your time, don't rush out onto the highway, onto the major roads on that left side of the road for the very first time. I'm actually going to have a video about driving and cycling on the opposite side of the road. But you have to get to know how the car feels, where you're going to be positioning yourself. I always say that the dashboard where the passenger sits, that dashboard points to the side of the road that you need to be on. And when you're driving in Africa for the first time in various places, a fair bit of the continent is actually what's called right-hand drive, but the steering wheel is on the right and you drive on the left side of the road. But take your time, drive around the parking lot, drive around the airport area before you head out onto congested roads where you're trying to think about things. And just make sure you have your ducks in order, your ducks in line, I guess, before you head out onto the main roads. If there's something you don't know about the car, ask the attendant and get them to run you through things. If you can't figure out something in the parking lot, are you really going to be able to figure it out when you're out driving and you're trying to figure out how to put gas in the car for the very first time or check some fluid levels? Keep in mind that also this car, now this is the Stepway, which is a bit of a crossover-y look, but these are normal street tires. So if you're going to be renting a car for the purposes of going on a long game drive and you're going to be doing some safari stuff, well, keep in mind that these are road tires and this is a road car. Now, South Africa has some absolutely amazing paved roads, but you are going to be challenging a vehicle like this, and especially the tires, which are going to be one of your greatest weaknesses when you're out in the safari type country. It could be in Kruger, it could be in Botswana or Namibia or Kenya. So just keep in mind that make sure you rent the car for the type of terrain you're going to be driving. Well, I've never owned a new car in my life, so I guess renting cars is kind of one of the ways I see the new technology of the day is, because it takes a while for it to trickle down into the used cars that I've ended up buying. There's something a bit exciting. You arrive in an airport, you've kind of booked a category of vehicle, but you have no idea what the brand or the model is going to be that you're going to get. And they hand you a pair of keys and they go, good luck, go find it. It's E24 is where you're going to find the car. So you go out to the car, you figured, okay, this is how I open it. And then you figure out where the ignition is, where the various controls are. But sometimes you don't even actually know where the gas cap release is going to be or the hood. Now I'm going to tell you a little bit about this Renault Stepway. This is a Renault Sandero Stepway. Stepway is this sort of artsy sport package stuff that they gave for it. In other markets, it's sold under the brand of Dacia. And Dacia is kind of their emerging markets brand for Renault. And it's an old Romanian name, but it's a entirely a Renault product these days. So it just depends on the market if it's sold as a Renault or if it's sold as a Dacia. The difference of the Stepway for the Sandero is about 3 centimeters or about an inch of height. You get these, nice plasticky trim bits. Look at that, huh? You get these kind of steel rim dipped in plastic. So, see, yeah, that's plastic. And you get roof rails. It's a pretty peppy little car, I have to say. I've been pretty happy with it. We're a family of 4 driving around. I'm going to put some epic footage that we have from this trip. I was trying to think of what this engine actually was, because I couldn't get the feel for it. Was it a 4-cylinder turbo? I was a bit surprised they would have a 4-cylinder turbo. Well, no, it is a 3-cylinder. Let's see, we have 1, 2, 3. 1 spark plug, 2 spark plugs, 3 spark plugs. And then guess what? All right, off the top of your head, then what's the liter size of the engine? It is a 1.5? A 2? No, it is a 0.9 liter engine. There are 2 firsts with this vehicle for me. I have never driven a 3-cylinder vehicle, and I have never driven a sub 1 liter engine before. So I have to say, it is handled, if you look at this pass above here, when this car is going, it's got pep, nice surprising little grunt to it, especially when you get it up above 3,000 RPMs, and it's a fun car to drive. Now, when we were pulling up a laneway where we had to stop at a gate just to sort of check in before we were allowed to proceed, it struggled a bit, I have to say. It struggled a bit to get going on a steep incline with a parking brake start. This is a manual and fun to drive, especially as a manual, because you can, bring those revs up a bit. But you know what? I have to say, I've been pretty happy with this car. Trunk space wise, I have to say it's fairly impressive. Got a huge duffel bag and 4 knapsacks. And features wise, it's been fine. Air conditioning, stereo with a USB port. I have to say, manual, it's been fun. One little outlet for charging devices. Oh no, pretty good car. Just remember, bring your emergency kit, bring your first aid kit, bring some of those vitals that you would have from home. And when you step into a Renault Sandero Stepway or a Volkswagen Polo or a Ford Fiesta like you often have, or the Toyota Etios. But just keep in mind, take your time before you leave the parking lot, ask questions, get familiar, especially if you're not familiar with driving on the other side of the road. Take your time and make it as safe as possible. And keep in mind, rent the vehicle for the worst type of terrain you're going to be driving. Don't just rent it for the smooth terrain, but then taking it on extreme rides. Be safe, enjoy those rentals, share some of those rental stories you have down below. What's the last rental you had? And was it something fun? Did you enjoy it? I think there's something fun about renting cars and getting to experiment. Well, thanks a lot for watching Better Preparedness. Click that like and subscribe button, and well, I hope you enjoyed this Better Preparedness episode, which also turned into a bit of a Better Preparedness rental car review. Okay, thanks a lot for watching. Bye.